Hey guys, welcome back to the Wally modelling series, and in this part we're going to go ahead and start creating the hand. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you roughly what we're going to be creating. So as you can tell, I kind of worked ahead a little bit again and made this part of the hand. Bear in mind we're probably going to go ahead and add some more extra details to this, so it will look a little bit better. But roughly this is the shape that we're going for. Probably with this joint pieces we're going to add some extra detail so it looks a little bit better. So yeah, this is what we're going to be doing in the next couple of parts, so I hope you guys look forward to this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move this to the side and just hide it in case I'm going to need it later on, but I highly doubt we will. So the first thing you're actually going to do is, as you noticed, I moved the arm a bit to the side. Okay, so I might have even scaled it down, so I'm just going to show you guys quickly what I've done. So I grouped it all together as one piece, and then basically I just moved it into the middle of this, so roughly we can get the proportions of this hand correct. Later on we'll probably scale it a little bit more, but that's what we are looking for. Okay, so I'll just show you on the side view as well where this is sitting, and in the front view as well, so you guys can pause the video and just line yours up like mine. Okay, so after you've done that, what we're going to be creating is a little joint piece here, which is going to be pretty easy to do because we're going to use this exact shape that we have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this cylinder, and I'm just going to drag it out of that arm group. Okay, next what we're going to do is I'm just going to move it out and go into my side view, unsmooth it so I can move the vertices around, and go into my vertex mode. I'm going to select all of these vertices and I'm going to drag it down to about here. Okay, because this is the shape that we're looking for. Now once we have that, we can go ahead and go to modify and center pivot, and we can go ahead and scale this in this direction, which is going to be the Z. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a minus sign in front of that Z scale. And now looking at this, I'll probably just rotate it, it might be easier. So I'm going to rotate it minus 80 degrees like so. And now I'm just going to quickly go into my front view, and we're going to go ahead and scale this a little bit down, move it to the side, and also I'm going to smooth it. I'm going to look around here as well, so I'm going to quickly go ahead and line this up with that piece. And as you can tell, this is bigger than that, so what we're going to be doing is we actually are going to leave a gap here because we want it to seem like a separate piece, and then go into a front view, and we're going to go ahead and scale this down until this cylinder meets that cylinder on this side. Okay, roughly like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and move it around again so it's sitting at the right position. Okay, so roughly this is the thing that we're looking for, and that looks pretty good to me. Just go into my front view again, check it, and it looks pretty good to me. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a little screw to this. You could go ahead and add like an extra detail to this, so you could cut a hole into this if you want and so on, but I'm not going to bother too much because you're not really going to see that piece even if you're just only using this screw. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to steal this screw from here, and I'm just going to drag it out from that group, and then I'm going to click in the middle of that, and I'm going to hold down V to just snap it somewhere around here. Okay, just to save me some time moving it around and so on. So now I'm going into my side view, and I'm going to go ahead and scale this down to roughly the size that I need. It's probably about there. And go into my front view, go into X-ray, unsmooth. Now what I'm going to do is just grab them vertices that I need and just drag them out to about here. Okay, and same with this, I'm just going to drag it out a bit more, and then smooth it and see how it's looking. Okay, so come out of my X-ray mode, and it's looking like I dragged out a bit too much. This side it looks okay, this side it doesn't. So just gonna select the vertices again, just push them in to about there, go back into my object mode, smooth it, and that looks about right. And if you notice, if you zoom out roughly where you would see the character from, as you can tell, you can't even see really that screw. So if you go ahead and spend a lot of time with this and add in loads of details and so on, it's your choice, but it's not really going to be seen. Okay, so now the next piece that we're going to do is I'll quickly show you on here, and what I want you guys to do is actually go ahead and try to model it yourself. So I'll show you what this looks like in on-smooth mode. Okay, and what I want you guys to do is just try to tackle this piece on your own and see how you get on with it. It's a little bit complicated, but not too much really. And if you struggle, just come back to the tutorial and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Okay, so for those of you who want to see me how to do this, what we're going to be doing is we're first going to start off with a cylinder. Okay, so I'm just going to go into my top view, select my cylinder, and I'm just going to drag out a rough size for now, drag up for height, and the first thing I'm going to do is select these bottom faces and delete them. Okay, now I can go back into my perspective mode and let's have a look how it's looking. It's looking pretty good. And then I'm going to select this edge loop, go ahead, edit mesh and extrude, and then I'm going to come to offset, zero that out, make sure that I'm working in that work position, drag it out, go back into my top view. And if you can hear my dog crying, don't worry about that. I'm at my family's place at the moment, so they just bought a new dog and it's crying all the time. Hopefully you guys can't hear it. So what I'm doing is, again, dragging this out roughly this size. Okay, so I'm just eyeballing it. We can go ahead and adjust the proportions later on this piece. Again, we got no reference for this, so we're just eyeballing this. And once we have that, we're going to go to mesh, fill hole, and we're going to have to use our interactive split tool to just make a cut here. So from there to about there. Yep, right click, and we have that piece sorted. Then we're going to go ahead and use our insert edge loop tool, and I'm going to add a loop in roughly around here. Okay, so now we can go ahead and select these, not them two, but these two faces, and hit extrude again. Just going to go into my side view and just go ahead and drag this up to about here. Okay, so again, I'm just eyeballing this. Now I'm going to go back to the perspective mode and delete them two faces. Okay, that's quite important that you delete them too. So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to have to go ahead and duplicate this face to do the other side. But before we do that, we're actually going to go ahead and add in all the edge loops so we don't have to do it on the other side as well. So the first thing we're going to do is go into our top view, and we're going to select all of these faces. So notice that we do it on the bottom as well at the same time, and then go hit extrude, and then offset we're going to go ahead and do about 0.02. Okay, so you get a nice little extrusion. Now we get a little bit of trouble going around here because we want this edge to go all the way around here. We want this edge to go all the way around to the bottom. So we're now going to go ahead and sort that out by using our insert edge loop tool. There are many ways you can do this. This is the way that I find it easiest, so this is the one that I'm going to show you. So we're just going to go ahead and add a loop around here. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use our merge vertex tool, and we're going to go ahead and basically what we want is we don't want this edge. Okay, I'm explaining it so you guys understand once you do it later on in your own time. So what we are basically trying to achieve is we don't need that edge and we don't need that edge, but the edge that we are looking for is basically just this one. and that little one. Okay, so we're just trying to connect this edge to that edge and trying to get rid of this little edge here. Okay, so what we're going to do is use our merge vertex tool, and we're going to snap that edge to that one, and you're going to snap that edge to that one, and you're going to snap this one to that one. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. So we don't need this, we don't need this one, and we don't need that one. Okay, now what we're going to do is delete the edges that we don't need. So we don't need that edge, that's the edge we're trying to get rid of, and we don't need this one, so shift click to select it. Don't need that one either, and we don't need this one either. Okay, so once you have them, shift right click, delete edge, and now we basically got that loop going around. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to double click this edge, shift double click that edge, and we're just going to go ahead and scale this so it hopefully straightens itself out roughly. Okay, so once we have that, we're going to obviously need our rest of the edge loops. So that's what we are going to do. That's what we're going to do next. Sorry, I can't talk for some reason. So let's go ahead and do that. Use our insert edge loop tool again, and we're going to add an edge loop around here, and as you can notice, it goes all the way around nicely, so we don't have to worry about that for now. We're also going to need one here, and that goes around nicely as well, so don't have to worry about that one. We're also going to need one up here, and that goes around as well, so that's fine, and around here. We're not going to need one around this, and the only two that we need now, I think, is the one that goes around this bit. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. So you're going to add one here, and as you can notice, it stops right here. Okay, and that's fine because we're going to go ahead and sort that later. We're also going to have to add one on the other side, and also we're going to have to add them here. And don't worry about too much the position for now, as long as it's fairly close to the edge, because what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move this edges to the right position. Okay, so once you added that, select the edge and click on that axis, and then holding down V, we're going to go ahead and snap the position to that point. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that with that edge as well. So notice that I'm double clicking, and then select that axis, hold down V, and I'm going to snap it to that one. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and do that with the other two as well. So double click this, select that axis because we only want it to move that way, hold down V to move it, snap it to that point, and we're also going to do it with this edge loop. So select that axis, look for the vertex where I want it to line it up with, which is this one, and bam. Okay, now all we gotta do is just connect them. So we're gonna use our interactive split tool, and we're gonna go ahead and split from there to there. We're gonna split from there to here, and same thing on the other side. Okay, so let's go ahead and find this. There we go, and one on the bottom. I think I just done that wrong. There we go. Okay, so now we have all the loops that we need. So what I'm going to do is just hit smooth and see how it's looking. It's looking pretty good. I want this corner to be a little bit sharper though, so what I'm going to do is going to select this edge. I'm just going to move it in a little bit, and I'm also going to go ahead and add another loop around here just so it holds its shape a little bit better. Something like that. Okay, so basically we got our main shape created. It's looking good. So now all we got to do is just duplicate it over. So I'm going to unsmooth it, go into my side view, hit Ctrl D to duplicate, move it up, and then we're going to have to use minus scale Y minus 1. Now that we have that, we can go ahead and just move this up where we want it. And I'm just making sure that these are lining up pretty close. Okay, so once you have that, you're going to select both of them go to mesh, combine, and then we're going to go ahead and select the vertices that we need, which is these 4. Right click, merge vertices with the option box, and we're going to use probably 0.05, see if that works. That didn't work, so you're going to need a little bit bigger. Try 0.075 merge. That didn't work either, so you're going to go ahead and try 0.01, see what happens, and that worked just fine, I think. But before I go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that all of these merged fine. Okay, and it seems like they didn't. As you can tell, it merged them 2 vertices. So you're going to go ahead and undo that, go back to merge vertices. I'm going to use 0.09, see if that works out, and that worked perfectly. Okay, as you can tell, we kept the edge loop. So now that we have that, we've basically got a mesh created, and we can go ahead and delete this edge loop because we don't need that anymore, and go ahead and smooth it, see if everything is looking fine, and it looks pretty good. Okay, so now all we got to do really is go ahead and scale this around and make sure that it's roughly the right thing that we're looking for. So the first thing I'm going to do is select these and just go to edit, delete all by type history, and then go to modify center pivot, and then we can go ahead and move this to a right place. And again, I selected just select it, and now I'm going to hold down V to try to snap it somewhere there. Okay, so I don't have to worry about too much about positioning, and we're going to go ahead and rotate this 180 degrees, and we're also going to rotate this not that way but this way, I think 90 degrees. Okay, because that's where it's going to be sitting, and now all we got to do really is just scale it so it's at the right position. So I'm going to turn X-ray on and move it roughly around here, and basically what I'm trying to line it up with in reality is the middle of these 2 fingers roughly, but even that I think it's going to be too big, so I'm going to go ahead and go into my side view, turn on X-ray, and basically the center of this should be roughly where that hole is. Okay, so this bit is sitting at the right place because it needs to sit there. So what I'm going to do is scale this down a little bit, and I want this to overhang that cylinder a little bit, so I don't want it to be the same size, roughly about there. So that's sorted, and now what I'm going to do is unsmooth it, select vertices, select all of them, and I'm going to go ahead and drag this down to about here. Okay, so this thing is nearly sitting at the center. Now I'm going to come out of there and just make sure that the proportions are looking roughly right, and that's looking pretty good. These bits look a bit too far away from each other, so I'm going to go into X-ray and I'll probably scale it this way a little bit, something like that. Okay, and again later on we can go ahead and just adjust these proportions, but for now that looks pretty good. I might go ahead and scale it down just a tad more because I think it's still a bit too big. Probably about there, and go into my side view and see how that's looking. You can go ahead and drag it closer to that now, and I'm just going to select these vertices again and drag it out a little bit. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Again, we're just eyeballing this as an extra detail, but that looks pretty good to me now. Before we go, we're just going to go ahead and add a screw to this. So I'm just going to use this one again, duplicate it, move it out, scale it up this way just so it pokes through. then go into my side view, turn X-ray on, and we're going to have to scale this up quite a bit. And I don't want it to be exactly that big, I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. Go into my front view, and basically you want this, I'm just going to select vertex and I'm going to drag this out to where that white line is, okay? And actually, instead of doing that, I'm going to scale it so it scales both sides the same amount. I'm just going to go to modify center pivot and scale it this way, and that looks pretty good to me, okay? So basically this is what we have, and the next thing that we're going to do is actually start working on the fingers and so on that will be attached to this piece, and again we'll probably adjust the proportions later on, okay? So I'll see you guys in the next part.